Hello, welcome back to another reading of the Great Cosmic Mother. It's me, Mama King. Thank you all for liking, subscribing, and hitting the notification bell. Okay, I'm just going to focus on reading the Great Cosmic Mother as I am. How do you say? What is it? Restructuring my platform. Okay, but I will continue to read this book. Okay, so here we go. We're going to read from page 110 to, it's called the Islands of Malta and Gozo to 115. So just 5 pages. Not bad. So on the islands of Malta and Gozo in the Mediterranean can be seen the clearest connection between the cave, the tomb, and the temple, all three being the body of the Great Mother. Sometime in the third or second millennium BC, or maybe earlier, an incredibly advanced culture developed on these small and isolated islands, which, situated between Sicily and the Libyan coast, yeah, Sicily and the Libyan coast were really right at the center of the ancient world. Malta and Goza were an ancient sacred center for the religion of the Great Mother. From Europe, from Africa, from the Aegean and the Near East, pilgrims traveled there or traveled here, and the sick came to be healed. Over a period of perhaps 1,000 years, up to 30 huge megalithic temple structures were built on these islands, but there are no remains of houses. Only the caves show any trace of habitation. The amazing architecture of the temples were far beyond its time. Pottery and carvings are found in the ruins, but there is a complete absence of metal, the only tools being rough stone implements and the horns of oxen and goats. Perhaps there was a religious taboo on the use of metal. No weapons were made or used on the islands. Metallurgy began, in fact, as a sacred technology of the goddess. Only ceremonial metals were cast at first. There was much taboo around the use of metals, and, no doubt, secrecy about smelting methods. Pagan European witches and Native Americans share an ancient belief that metal interferes with magic. These were stone-oriented people who felt metals blocking and distorting psychic spiritual energy currents. Witches were not supposed to touch iron. Guy Underwood, a British water diviner, says his experience have shown him that placing a metal object on a blind spring obliterates, for a short time, all geodetic reactions around it. Water is extremely sensitive to metals, especially heavy metals. The Malta and Gozo temples imitated the rock-cut megalithic tombs of the mainland. They were built in roundish chambers in cloverleaf and crescent designs around an inner courtyard, with long connecting courtyards between them. No dead were buried in these temples. Bodies were still interned in caves and rock-cut tombs. But there was only a step from performing ceremonial rites at the cave tombs to building special temples for the veneration of the spirits of the dead. The temples were built with enormous double walls, rubble and earth piled in the space between the inner and outer wall. So, in effect, the temple was still inside the earth, as inside a mountain surrounded by powerful earth currents, similar to a A Rican organ chamber, in fact, and this is spelled a Rican. It's spelled Reicchian. In myth, Gozo was the island realm of Calypso, the daughter of Uranus. It was on Gozo that the patriarchal hero Ulysses was believed to have stayed enchanted by the sorceress Calypso for 7 years. In myth, the huge temple of Gantiga, okay, I'm not even going to pronounce that, the fourth millennium BC, was built by a giant Titan woman with a baby at her breast. Single-handedly in one day, she hauled the huge blocks of stone to the building site and built the temple walls by night. This temple is 90 feet high, and some of its great stone slabs measure 5 yards by 4 yards. Mortar was used on the island or in the inside wall, which were then painted with red ochre, the color of rebirth. And some of the megaliths weighed 50 tons. The stone rollers that must have been used to transport the huge blocks have been found by the temple site. The entire population of the island must have worked during many generations to produce this single temple. What were they seeking? Probably what we would call, what's on page 111 too, probably what we would call the living darkness, the stillness of the tomb, the breathing silence of the womb of the Earth Mother, the chambers painted blood red and no sharp angles. All the shapes were rounded or molded in curves and waves. There was no worship of the heavens in these temples and no human sacrifice. There are traces only of animal sacrifice and the pouring of libations. Here the living and the dead were as close as possible to each other. But the strangest thing is that the temple on the surface of the earth was only the entrance to a still vaster shrine beneath. Legends tell of a huge labyrinth, catacomb, or rock necropolis built under the temple, a city of the dead in which the whole island population ultimately resided. In fact, an enormous labyrinthine cave sanctuary has been found. What is this? Hold on. Labyrinth, labyrinthine. Okay, a labyrinthine cave sanctuary has been found. The collective burial tomb of 7,000 bodies, y'all. This mass tomb was built in several stories out of the subterranean rock. At its entrance is a trilithon gateway. That's three, okay? A trilithon gateway giving access to the underground city, the abode of the perfect ones. Long vaulted corridors, blood stained with red ochre, led to a sacred deep temple area with its altar, pillars, gateway, and spiral designs painted in red on the roof. It mirrored or echoed the temple built above ground. This was the center of something, as Malta and Gozo were indeed at the geographic center of the Neolithic great goddess culture, stretching from Africa to Scandinavia, from Sumeria to Spain, or to the sunken continent of Atlantis, as some believe. In this sacred space, priestesses of the great goddess contacted the spirits of the dead, consulted oracles, prophesied, and performed ritual healing. In the temple are huge squatting images of the goddess. These are of the same bulging, rounded shape as the temple. In later images, she wears a flounced skirt with small figures hiding in it for protection. She holds her arm raised to her breast. Her head is smaller, proportionately, than the body, and made of a separate material, and she wears a blissful expression, peaceful, gracious, and still. She meditates with closed eyes, sitting on a throne, and she has small, delicate hands. The blood of sacrificed animals are poured into a stone vessel with a hollow base standing on the altar, and burning fire ceremonies were also enacted. These secret chambers of the Great Mother where timeless mysteries were performed, are guarded by her eyes, the cosmic symbol of the double spiral, inscribed on the ceiling stone. Plant, flower, and animal motifs are carved in relief on the walls and altars, and they show strong Cretan influence, evidence of much contact between these islands. The temples were also healing centers. The sick came to sleep in the huge stone chambers. Priestesses in clairvoyant sleep listened to the voices of the underworld. Divination and also acoustic conjuring were practiced. The priestess's disembodied voice, from her little chamber hidden in the thick walls, reverberated through the vaults via clay pipes and moldings, seeming the voice of earth itself. People came on pilgrimage to sleep in the temple, to have dream communion with the powers of the underworld and the dead, to obtain counsel, wisdom, healing, and clairvoyant knowledge of the future. The temples contain two small figurines of sleeping women, sleeping to dream, to die, to wait for birth and rebirth. They echo the huge, pregnant shape of her who was both impersonal and kind, both familiar and terrible. The earth, embodying cosmic strength, mystery, abundance, paradox. We don't know anything about the people who built these island temples. They were weaponless and so defenseless against warlike pirates who overran them using metal weapons. These conquerors probably came by way of Sicily, bringing a culture much inferior to that of Malta. They still practice some form of goddess worship, but they burned their dead, showing that they were in transition from matriarchal to patriarchal orientation. Wow. Since the Sky Father worshiping nomads from the east also practice cremation, i.e., they sent the body spirit up to the sky. Oh my gosh. Rather than returning it to the earth womb. It is quite possible that Malta and Gozo were schools for priestesses. Such island schools are common in legend. Ancient Celtic myth tells of sacred islands inhabited and ruled by women, where the mysteries were kept and taught. According to Irish texts, the Tuatha Dé Danann came from such an island in the north, where they had learned science, magic, art, and ancient wisdom from priestesses of the goddess Danu. Druids were buried in ceremonial groves on distant islands. According to the Roman Pomponius Mila, I ain't gonna try it again, y'all. Believe me. Get your book. Okay, so this is a quote. Facing the Celtic coast lie a group of islands which take the collective name of Cassatorites. Cassatorites. Sena, Sena, off the Breton coast, Breton coast, was renowned for its Gallic oracle, whose priestesses, sacred for their everlasting virginity, were said to be 9 in number. These priestesses were called Galatians and had magic powers. If I'm pronouncing that right, it's spelled Gallicians. Okay. And then there's a excerpt from this writing from Pomponius Mela: to unleash the winds and storms by their spells, to metamorphosis any animal according to their whim, to cure all disease said to be incurable, and finally to know and predict the future. But they reserved their remedies and predictions exclusively to those who traveled over the sea expressly to consult them. Oh, I thank you, great cosmic mother, for your holy wisdom. Thank you so much for your guidance. Okay. All right. That was my personal prayer. Okay. If you feel the same, you do yours. So they were 9 in number because 9 is the triplicity of 3, the sacred number of the moon goddess. Girls who were to become priestesses were chosen at the age of 9. 9 priestesses. Wow. All right, y'all. Let me just gather my the spirit is real, right? So 9 priestesses were pictured dancing around an isflat. Um, Let me look this word up, y'all. Hold on. Okay, I have it right here.
Get the phallic.
It's the phallic of or relating to the phallus carried in the ancient festivals of Bacchus. It's an adjective. Having the penis erect, used of graphic and sculptural representations. And it also says lascivious and salacious. All right. So 9 priestesses are pictured dancing around an Italic young man in a cave painting at Kogul, Cogul, in northeastern Spain, dating from the Old Stone Age. Um, wow. Altaganasian. I have never heard this before. Hold on, let me look this up. Be patient. Okay, here it goes. Okay, and it means something. Hold on, let me. What happened to the meaning? Give me a second. Okay, it's a culture, which I guess we figured that out, but it's an archaeological industry of the Upper Paleolithic associated with early European modern humans, lasting from 43,000 to 26,000 years ago. To be specific. Okay, so let me continue. So during this time, Old Stone Age, arranged in a crescent, the dancing 9 represent the moon's phases, growing older in a clockwise direction. Three strong, hold on, 3 young girls, 3 strong grown women, and 3 thin dark crones. The oldest, with an old moon face, dances Wintershins counterclockwise. And this painting could be 30,000 years old. So primordial is witchcraft. Okay. On the sacred island of Avalon, Apple Island, Morgan Le Fay, the fairy, ruled over 9 sisters and taught how plants can be used to cure illness. She knew the art of changing her outward form and could fly through the air with the aid of magic flowers. She was one of many renowned shamans practicing ancient women's wisdom on an enchanted island. The temples of Malta and Gozo revealed, I hope I'm saying Gozo right, but y'all know what I'm doing here. The temples of Malta and Gozo reveal that such islands were based on reality, as legends usually are. All that remains of the Maltese island people are their resonant stone temples, but their religious ideas and rites were similar to those surviving in the mystery cults of classical Greece. Such survivals show that early Christianity's belief in the body's immortality grew from very deep and ancient pre-Indo-European, pre-patriarchal roots. Delphi was another oracular shrine tomb located on the Greek mainland. It was ruled over by a spiraling python serpent and a prophetic priestess who served Gaia, the Earth Death Mother. The python was housed in the Omphalos, Omphalos, or the navel shrine, the navel of the earth, built underground in beehive shape, originally perhaps deriving from the African Masabo, or ghost house. The name Delphi comes from Delphine, the great snake of the mother. Ooh, yeah. I'm just feeling so alive right now. I don't think I think I'm sitting here doing my reading through this cosmic great mother right now. Am I finding my identity? I think I might. I think I might be doing that's just that. Yes, yes, yes. So the goddess's most ancient name of Malta had been Delphine, since she was part serpent, and the name comes from an ancient word, Delphis, meaning womb, and is now the brand name of a contraceptive foam. Well, what do you know? So Apollo, the patriarchal sun god of classic Greece, was a mythological latecomer to the oracular shrine at Delphi, though now he is always associated with it. Apollo began as an underground oracular hero. In fact, in his name means Apple Man. Hmm. Yeah, you see the connections here? In classic myth, he could not rule at Delphi until he had slain the sacred python with his arrows or phallic sunbeams, as Zeus had also killed the dragon offspring of the earth goddess at Dodona. But even after the slaying of the symbolic python, the prophetic Sibyl at Apollo's Delphi remained a woman bending over her tripod, inhaling smoke and entering trance. He pronounced her judgments on past, present, and future acts of the Greeks. But Apollo, as harbinger of patriarchal sun god technology, increased the production demand on the oracle beyond her endurance and human capacity, driving her mad. As John Mitchell has noted, or John Michel, I'm sorry, John Michel has noted, the same policy of artificially inducing and mechanically increasing the Earth's fertility, attempting to mass produce Earth's fruits for profit rather than accepting what is given organically by nature, can be found wherever the solar gods assumed management over the ancient shrines of the goddess. If y'all ain't up dancing and stomping your feet like you used to do in church, I'ma know something, okay? So blood was used in the Delphic shrine to feed the ghost and make them return to speak and prophesy through the Sibyl. The Sibyl drank the blood, producing in herself prophetic ecstasy, sounds of peepings and mutterings, and eerie bat-like voices speaking through her were believed to be the voices of ghosts. This was the function of ancient human and animal sacrifice. The recently dead were more easily recalled from the other world, and not so potentially dangerous as those long dead. Through these dead confidants, the priestess gained knowledge of healing and the future. The bull, with its lunar horns, was associated with the underground rituals. Bull's blood was believed to be the most potent magic, and diluted with water, it was used to fertilize the fields and orchards of Crete and Greece. Drunk straight, It was considered a deadly poison to anyone but the sibyl or priestess of the goddess. Archaically, bull sacrifice took place in a ritual circle of 12 stone herms, pillars, at the foot of a sacred hill. Half the bull's blood was sprinkled on a 13th herm. Let me read that again. Half the bull's blood was sprinkled on a 13th herm in the circle's center. The rest was poured into a large basin from which the priestess drank. The Celts also used bull's blood for divination. Irish poets had to drink bull's blood and then lie down to dream in order to tell the truth. I want to thank all of those who support me behind the scenes. I did make a post in the community about that. And I want to reiterate that because you guys are very precious to me. The few of you that have contacted me through email, encouraging me or just thanking me for what I do present here. Okay. I really, really appreciate you all. Really, really do. And don't forget to like this video. Okay. I'm going to see y'all later. Y'all be good. Bye bye.